Hello, everybody. I'm Brian Bowie, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Demo. Today, super excited to welcome our technology guest, Pathfactory, and we have Murali Kandasamy from Pathfactory. He's the Director of Solutions. Murali, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here.
So excited to jump into Pathfactory. We've had some exposure with it in the past. You guys went by a different brand before, right? What was it called?
Yep, we used to be called Lookbook HQ.
Got it. Well, I like the name Pathfactory. From experiencing the tool a little bit, it makes a lot of sense. So before we dig into the demo, the light demo, can you give me a quick overview of what Pathfactory is and who it's for?
Absolutely. So Pathfactory is for pretty much all the marketers out there, right? So what Pathfactory does really good is bring the content to life. A lot of time in B2B, content marketers and marketers create content. Unfortunately, we do only have binary data of opens, clicks, and downloads to measure the performance of the content. Where Pathfactory comes in is understanding the intelligence of those content and how it is used, and using time as an attribute, we can really give marketers an in-depth analysis of the content impact throughout their buyer's journey.
That's awesome. So a major talking point within society is ABM, and I noticed ABM was featured as like part of a solution within who Pathfactory serves. So excited to walk through some of those capabilities and how that ties in. But would you say that Pathfactory is a good solution for ABM, account-based marketers to leverage?
Absolutely. So what Pathfactory brings into the table for the ABM specifically is to see the buying cycle or the buying committee grow in front of your eyes, right? So a lot of time when we get a content, it goes to the champion or the person who's taking the initiative for that specific project. And that person actually forwards your content to so many other people within that committee. Unfortunately, today, the sales team don't have access to all of those engagement. So with Pathfactory, what we can show you is, yes, your champion is engaging with the content for, let's say, 10 minutes, but now that content has been forwarded throughout the organization, and there are 20 other anonymous visitors engaging with the content. And we tie all of this engagement into one seamless reporting. Obviously, this helps your sales to nurture those accounts properly. At the same time, the sales also have the data to follow up with meaningful content, right? That is the biggest difference here, because at any committee, there is going to be, the early adopters of your solution. At the same time, there is going to be an implementation team, a procurement team, whichever team it is. It's always nice to see the salesperson smile when they see all of these different engagement, which typically doesn't happen outside of Pathfactory.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what you're saying is you're able to get visibility on what target accounts and what maybe target prospects are engaging with different pieces of content, maybe even which ones they're falling off with, right?
Exactly. And the beauty of that is it doesn't really matter what type of content, right? So your video might be hosted in YouTube, Vimeo, whatever video hosting platform. Your PDF can be sitting in a DAM. It could be in a part of your CMS. It could be part of your maps. We bring all of these things. And the cool thing is it can also be a third-party report, whether it's a Gartner report that is playing a huge part in your prospect's buying journey, or it could be a Forrester report. It doesn't really matter. We can bring all of this content in, create that seamless experience for your prospects.
Awesome. Sounds amazing. Well, let's, I know you prepared something to give our audience a better feel and understanding of Pathfactory, and then I can't wait to jump into some use cases. So yeah, let's go ahead and share what you've got for us today. And
Absolutely. I'm not a slides guy, so I got like 3 simple slides to really talk about Pathfactory and the impact, and then I'll jump into some live demos to keep it real for all the users out there, right? So ultimately, Pathfactory, as I mentioned, it's a content intelligence platform. It really, focus a light on all of your content. Today, I just saw a report that says 68% of B2B content is not being used, or if when it's used, there is no insight on those content. So that is a big area Pathfactory is going to impact. The second one is the data, right? So I
Mhm.
used to be a past Pathfactory customer. I bought Pathfactory almost 6 years back when I was managing global operations at Western Union. And the
Wow.
reason for that purchase was we were sending about 250,000 emails a week. We saw maybe 5,000 opens and 1,000 click, but I could not differentiate those 1,000 clicks. They were all almost the same. But
Yeah.
with Factory, we were able to understand out of those 1,000 clicks, how many of them spend 2 seconds versus 2 minutes versus 20 minutes, right? So now I was able to prioritize my leads. And the other beauty is we can sit behind any call to action, whether the call to action could be on your paid social, your website, your nurture, customer marketing, partner marketing. It can be from any call to action, and Path Factory can power that click and understand the intent of that call to action and create a journey for your prospect right there.
That's really cool. That makes sense. Sounds like a dream. Can't wait to see it. But yeah.
That's another important thing, right? Like this is one slide I really love to share is what opportunity we are leaving at the table when we build those nurtures, right? We try to align our nurture with your sales cycle. If your sales cycle is 3 months, you try to expand that 6 week or 8 week nurture out there and try to send one email at the time. I always had the strong belief marketers' job is not to align ourselves with the sales cycle, but empower and educate your prospect as quickly as possible, right? If I can give you 3 pieces of content, and if you have that challenge and if you have the time, you're going to spend that time with Path Factory or the content that you have created. So why create this unnecessary cadence and slow your prospects' education? So that is where I really like this slide. I'm not going to go to even the last slide. This is all the platform that we integrate with. Uh, I think we are in this kind of ecosystem. If you don't do this, you're not going to be successful. For
Right.
marketers out there who have seen these kind of slides a lot, yes, we integrate with pretty much any marketing technology you might have out there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think it's almost like a must-have to be able to report on this investment, which I'm really curious about. But yeah, let's dive into like a real-life demo. I think that's probably the best way to experience the platform.
Absolutely. I'll start with some examples right at Path Factory's website, right? So our marketing team is our number one customer. They pretty much the early adopters or everything. So if you notice here something, Brian, we don't even have Resource Center, right? So typically Resource Center is a number one link that would be out there, and marketers love their Resource Center. Sometimes it's nice to be controversial. I call Resource Center is a place where your content goes to drive. I'm pretty sure I took that from Nick, who's our founder. But it's something that I really think that's true, right? Because you put your content in Resource Center, it's great for the first 2 weeks when it's on first page. And after your team starts building more content, that featured content for this week gets buried in pagination and goes back to 8 pages. And we can't expect our prospects to go to those Resource Center, find the right content, right? So what Path Factory we do is we look at what is really happening in that buying cycle. If you come to our website, Brian, and click on what we do, you're clearly telling our marketing team and the sales team that you have no idea of what Path Factory does, and you quickly want to know what we do.
Mhm.
Before I click the call to action, we ran all of these testing and we found out what type of content we should be providing the user at this stage. And we came to a conclusion it has to be a quick video because marketers love visual learning, and it shouldn't be 20 minutes, right? So we try to keep this video under 5 minutes, give them a quick glimpse of Path Factory because you're not going to invest more time than that, right? But if you're interested, and if you remember the previous slide, quite a number of people actually go to that second piece of content. And again, I'll highlight there the first video is a video that's sitting in Vimeo. The second piece of content is a PDF that is sitting in our Marketo or somewhere else. It doesn't really matter. Now we are collecting information on how many minutes and second Murali, whether it's a known user or an anonymous user spending time on, what asset has gone to the which person has gone to the second piece of content, I'm a known user within Pathfactory, so I will not see a lead capture form. But if it is an anonymous visitor, they will actually see a lead capture form after certain time engagement. And keeping true to what I said about resource center is a place where your content goes to die. If you notice here, at top of the funnel awareness journey, an asset, which is a blog post that published May 6th of 2019, is still right at the top of the journey because we understand the impact of this particular piece of content. We are not going to bury a content down somewhere just because it is old. We constantly evaluate our content and the impact of that in the pipeline, and we constantly promote. So now what we are doing is we are bringing the resource center to the prospect rather than sending the prospect on a scavenger hunt to find the right piece of content for their journey. I'm going to pause there and see if you have any questions.
Many questions. But so I love the fact that you started with, where they're at in the state at the beginning of the stages, and this is what you want to show them on the homepage. Is it just because it's on the homepage, or how do you recommend the journey? Is it by the person, how many times they've been to the website? I noticed even the recommended for you, is it for me, or is it just because I'm on this particular page?
Now, that's a great segue to a very, very exciting news that Pathfactory would love to share. We recently launched our second side of the platform, which is called the website tool. The first one I showed you is part of a campaign tool, which is core platform, and that was the main reason Pathfactory was born. But this is an evolution of that 1.0 of campaign tool. We call this a website tool. This is completely driven by AI, right? So this takes multiple things into consideration. It looks at who I am. It looks at which account I belong to, and it actually recommend me content that is not even inside Pathfactory. We basically go through your website, all of your website, and then we recommend what would be the right content that you should be seeing. So this is completely based out of recommendation. This is not creating, what content you should see next. This is the content that you should be following for your journey. And we have 8 different type of recommendation. In this particular promoter, we have 2. One is recommended for you, and the second one is trending from an account level, or this could be based on the industry that you're coming from, a few other recommendation. But to keep it simple, we got 2 recommendation promoter right here.
Very cool. So another follow-up to that, say I'm the director of marketing here. Where are you getting that information to have this personalized call out?
Yeah, we do have a partnership with 6 Sense. So we leverage 6 Sense partnership to really understand who the visitor is, where they're coming from, what industry they belong to. So leveraging that and then tying that with your previous engagement. So if you're director of marketing, and if there is somebody, let's say a marketing manager or a digital manager or a content marketer come in before you, now we understand what this account is interested in, and then we can also tie in their engagement and start surfacing content that your peers have consumed. So this way we are streamlining that process for you. So all of your account will have only one challenge or 2 challenge that they want to solve. So you're not starting your journey from the scratch. We are understanding what your previous colleagues have consumed and start recommending that too.
That's interesting. Yeah. So say I'm interacting with this, and we could go to any of them. Does it open up that new path or like that new experience, or does it just go straight to
Yeah, this is the beauty of the recommendation engine. So this one, it doesn't create the path. It actually recommends the web pages inside your website. So this page, it might have taken 3 clicks for me to get there, but now that page is recommended for me. So if I need to consume this piece of content, it actually takes me to that blog. And within the blog, for example, you can also add carousels, right? So you can say, what other content that I need to be seeing? Again, this is not purely based on published time of these blogs. These are blogs that is relevant to that specific engagement. So it is unique to you and you alone.
Got it. Okay. I see the different mediums that you can receive or deliver the personalized content. Is this part of the entire platform that you have access to, or do you have to buy the use cases and pieces?
Yeah, so we have 3 different solutions. The first one is campaign tool. Most marketers use that. The second one is website tool. This is specifically for website and digital strategy. And the third one is called VEX, which is the virtual event experience, purely brainchild of COVID. On an unfortunate situation, a lot of our customers were asking for virtual event experience. So we also have that as our third platform or third solution.
Got it. Cool. If we back up all the way before I start asking a ton of questions, can we go back to the homepage? And
Absolutely.
the one I'm most familiar with, and I think like people who have been familiar with Lookbook or Pathfactory or even experienced these on other websites, was that kind of pop open Explorer. And I see that's like in a lightbox or like a frame. Can you also have it completely like a screen takeover and its own page?
Absolutely. So you can definitely do that, and totally depends on the kind of experience that you want to give your customers, right? So we do have promoters and call to action where you can actually move them to a completely different experience. So for example, I'm just going to choose maybe a PPC example or a social example for that. So let's say I am using this in a LinkedIn campaign, right?
Okay.
So obviously we can't do overlay on LinkedIn. So when I click on this banner, typically what will happen is I'll be taken to your marketing automation page where there'll be a form on the right-hand side and 3 paragraphs on the left that says how amazing the content is going to be if you submit a form.
Right. Right.
We all know it's about 2% conversion. If some customers or prospect have more than that, that's great. But industry standard is around 2%. So what Pathfactory can help you do that is, I'm not saying we will solve the problem, but we can help you do ABC the journey. What will happen if I click on this banner and taken to the content track itself rather than a landing page, right? So then you can test that theory and say, if I surface a form on this asset after 10-second engagement or 20-second engagement, what will be the conversion look like? What will happen if I put the form on the second asset? How that conversion will look like. So a lot of our customers actually do this testing and find out the right form strategy for them to surface this form. I got sucked into subscription of Seeking Alpha recently because they were giving me 3 paragraphs of article. At one point I said, you know what, these articles are too good. I'm going to pay the $300 and subscribe for that. So we see that B2C behavior a lot, right? If you're going to gate me even before I get to the content, prospects are not going to engage. But if you give them the option to engage with your content first, build the trust, tell them that you're going to solve the problem, and then surface a form, there is a higher chance that conversion will happen.
Yeah, we're all about, figuring out the right moment to activate these users and to deliver them and give them delight. However, I am wondering, like, part of what you pitched earlier was around like accelerating the sales process, not accelerating, but giving them all the information they want to help inform their decision. Is it possible to do like one of the things from conversational marketing, a similar value prop with chatbots and things like that is that ability to kind of speed things up. If you're a consumer, you go on the site and you want quick answers, and this message says it here, talk to a sales rep now. Can you embed chat within these experiences to where on a click of a button, if they're like, okay, I do want to talk to a sales rep now and I don't want to have to schedule a demo, how does that work?
Absolutely. You can definitely add any kind of chat bots out there. There are quite a bit out there. We work with pretty much all the chat bots, and you can dictate what time that they need to come up in this experience, and you can actually enable chat bots here.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Another thing I noticed, because we do a lot of analytics and reporting for clients, and I noticed that the URL is completely different, hosted on potentially a Pathfactory URL. So does that type of data get stored in like Google Analytics or other commonly used website analytics tools, or is it all separate and just lives on in Pathfactory?
No, you can pass our data to multiple different locations. So for example, you mentioned GA. We do have 2 solutions to solve that problem. If you look at the top here, You can implement Pathfactory as a subdomain, so it will be your company, smart, explore.yourcompanyname.com, or you can also have yourcompanyname.com/explore. So we do have both the reverse proxy and subdomain implementation, so all the data can flow into your GA or Adobe Analytics. The other one is BI tools. We do have a public API, so if customers are using Tableau, Visible, Domo, we can pass the data there for their attribution model. We can pass our data to the data warehouse and data lakes that customers might have. And typically, all of this data also goes to the marketing automation and CRM platform. So all our content is pushed to all of these different places to make your data actionable, right? The biggest difference between GA and Adobe is those insights or analytics have not helped campaign managers. They are great for digital strategy, but they are not telling a campaign manager the performance of their engagement. With Pathfactory, what we are going to do, maybe this would be a good segue to insights. What we can do is we can actually tell you what is the journey of Steve after clicking on the email, how many assets Steve went on to consume and spend total time, whereas Sally clicked on 2 assets and spent 6 seconds, right? This is the difference we are bringing to the table, and this is hugely valuable for a campaign manager. Now, let's just pretend for a second that this is part of your 8-week nurture campaign, and Steve is spending 17 minutes on 5 assets. Why should we wait on Steve and send him week number 2's email asset, right?
All right.
He's already fast tracked. So what our customers start doing, and internally we do, is we create these alerts out of our marketing automation tool that will have different titles. As you can see, this example is for a ABM account and a contact from that account engaging. So we will reduce the threshold. So for example, this could be 30-second engagement. We will notify our sales team. If the same contact is part of an open opportunity, even a 10-second engagement will notify our salesperson, right? So we are creating these different type of notification. So we are not notifying our sales team on a download or a click, but we are notifying our sales team on a meaningful engagement. If it is just a lead, we will increase the threshold to 3 minutes or minimum of 3 assets. So by doing this, we are removing the email fatigue, right? Email notification fatigue that salespeople encounter. In the end, they stop even looking at it. But when our sales team receive these notifications, they are like on this, right? Like they're not going to wait. They're like, okay, a contact that belongs to a specific one is engaging.
Yeah, I could see sales team like that use case for them being very attractive. So is a cadence for this like every day, or are you able to set that how often you get these like engagement alerts?
You can actually set as and when somebody is meeting the threshold, right? So if it is an opportunity, open opportunity, why wait a day, right? So at this point, it might be right away something that you need to know. Whether you're actioning upon that or not, that's your prerogative. But from notification perspective, you can decide when this need to be sent out. And that is a rule that you can set in your marketing automation tool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Backtracking a little again, I know you mentioned AI and kind of like the dynamic nature of the recommendations on the site. Does the same apply for the actual like campaign tool where the different options and content and the tracks are dynamic based on all the information you had before? Because that's the way everything is moving, where it's, instead of guessing, just letting the math do the work and putting the best performing content in front of them. So does that also apply to that?
I love how you just are talking about our roadmap. That is really, really good. So yes, we are perfecting the web tool recommendation. We've been working on that for close to 2 years now. I feel very confident that we have narrowed that or nailed it. Now our goal is to move that to our campaign tool, because there was quite a bit of thing that needs to happen before we pull that to the core product. I feel very shortly we will be incorporating that in our core platform of campaign tools. So the recommendation engine 2.0 for customers, look forward. It's going to happen shortly or soon. If anything that I've learned, product team has never, asked us never to commit a date, right? We all know that. So it's going to happen. We'll let you know when that happens.
That's awesome. So I definitely see your point of view from like getting the information in front of them, being a good replacement for like landing pages. Do you get ever pushback on like on in terms of seeing lower conversion rates using the tool versus like maybe you do have a landing page that only has one field, like just an email, and you're getting those leads. Maybe you can use Path Factory after, but do you have any of that back and forth where it's not always the best to use Path Factory?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just like anything change is a very difficult thing, right?
Yeah,
So we are directly competing with, a lot of people's job here, right? So it's
yeah,
not easy for somebody to accept what I'm going to say right away. But that is where we say do your testing. So for that case, Brian, what I would recommend is keep your landing page, but when I hit submit button, don't send me directly to one PDF, send me to a content track, right? So see what kind of engagement happens at that point after I hit the submit. Test B, send me directly to the content and surface the form. So I would not sit here and say I can guarantee conversion, but what I will say is you have the ability to test without a lot of coding, a lot of HTML, and then think about your content, what should be the right content, what should be the time frame that you need to surface the form. So those are all the abilities that is available in Path Factory to make the right decision.
yeah, that makes sense. A lot of cool tools. If I were interested in getting started and wanting to learn more, is there, do you guys offer a trial or what do you recommend like starting with first?
This is a process, right? We don't offer trials, but the simple way is go to what we do, look at what we do. If it makes sense, click on that button and book a demo, and you will be most likely having a chat with me, and then we can take it from there, right? So it's a simple process. We don't want to sell you anything that you don't need, but seems like content is a big struggle for most people. So I would say any B2B marketer should definitely take a look at it, right? So for me, I always look at new technology as an education. Whether I'm going to buy it or not, that's not my decision. It's a committee's decision. But I like to stay up to date, right? So I want to be the smartest guy in the room to know that there is a technology for a challenge you are facing. So having a demo is nothing wrong. So this is how we learn as marketers. If we need to grow, we need to talk to other marketers. And what better way for a technology expert on a specific field giving you 1 hour of their time and educating you on a solution, right? This is something that I always try talking to younger marketers who feel like nobody should do a sales pitch. It's not a sales pitch, it's a free education for you. So if you take that perspective, I would try to book one technology meeting a week if possible. Obviously, I don't have time, but if I do have time, I would love to do that and learn about every technology because we are here in this together. And the more we learn about other technologies, the better results that we can gain.
Yeah, that makes sense. It is a little rough if you've ever been in a bad demo or something. You're like, you could get burned by it. And I think your solution is almost a solution for that because you put a lot of, diverse content in front of potential buyers. I am curious about like pricing. Do you guys price it based on the amount of content you have, the page views, the sessions, the amount of data you have, or is it kind of flat?
It's flat. That's what I love about Path Factory. We're not going to nickel and dime you on everything, right? So we have, prospects come to us and say, "Hey, I have an English version of something. Now I want a Spanish version. How much is it going to cost?" Absolutely nothing. You can go and build 10,000 tracks, no extra cost. The way we, price this is whether do you want curated journey without machine learning or with machine learning, right? That's the two different things that we offer. It is completely unlimited. There's no cost on visitors visiting your page. There's no cost on how many assets you can add to the library. There's no cost on how many tracks you can create or explore pages that you can create. It's completely unlimited.
Got it. That makes sense. So with a tool like this, and I know you probably invested a lot in the reporting and analytics features so that marketers can prove out the ROI and make a business case out of it. What type of ROI do you guys typically see? Does it depend on the client or, so what kind of results do you typically see with clients that bring Path Factory on?
Absolutely. See, ROI is a very difficult thing based on the company size and all those things, right? With the SMB, it's a little bit different compared to enterprise. The sales cycles are longer. So, depending on the tools that they're using on the attribution side. So, if a
Mhm.
company is using Tableau or Visibles and things like that, they're going to be multiple touch, multiple assets. Is it a shared attribution model? First touch, last touch. There are so many attributes. A lot of people throw ROI very loosely out there. It is not as simple. If somebody has figured out the whole ROI on any platform that they have done, I would love to talk to them. But what we can confidently say is we do impact that buyer's journey by providing that right content at the right time. We impact the sales cycle by consolidating that for the salesperson. Ultimately, we are removing the friction for the prospect. We are not making your website or your content journey a scavenger hunt. We are curating that journey where your prospect can educate faster. Leads to meaningful engagement with your salespeople. They come in knowing what they want. So we do impact the sales cycle and all that stuff. If you want me to tie directly to dollar value, it's going to be a little difficult for me to
Yeah.
address in this call.
Yeah, for sure. Do you also typically, do you ever see customers use this post sale? So like for delivering, for customer success and things like that?
Absolutely. That's the main reason I bought in Western Union. Number one was adoption strategies, right? So, the welcome emails, for example, there are customers who used to send a welcome email with 6 different links before. Now they use Pathfactory. We have customers using in partner marketing, right? Partner orientation. So now you onboard a partner, they don't have a real way to, onboard that partner, for example. Or you have all of these content in your partner portal, you don't know how your partners are using, which channel they're using, how that content is working. So yes, we do have customers using in customer marketing, we do have customers using in partner marketing. And as I said, we sit behind any call to action and we are not limiting you, so you can go ahead and use this across your customer journey, not just buying journey, but across your customer journey.
That makes sense. Yeah. That's about all the time we have. I know there's so much more to cover within the platform and different use cases for different people. It seems pretty easy to use from what I've been exposed to. But yeah, if people want to check it out and learn more, how should they best do so?
Go to pathfactory.com, click on what we do button.
Well, that's a good, yeah, good experience there, and check out the platform yourself and dig in. Murali, thank you so much for joining today. It was a pleasure to have you and learn more about Pathfactory, and hopefully some of you out there, it helps you out. And thanks again for taking the time to share your knowledge. So yeah.
Thanks for having me, Brian. It was my pleasure. Take care.
Awesome. Take care. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.